Honestly, guys, 1 second, I'll be right there. Come on, let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Donna. This is my Wonderland. Finally, I am here. Okay, so today we are going to be going through my temperature blanket. We're going to be talking all things temperature blanket, and I'm going to show you where I am at. We're 4 weeks in now, so this is the 4-week reveal. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you see more videos from me. If you are new here, hi or welcome. On this channel, we do crafting, decluttering and home fragrance. I am actually going to be doing a goal review video on Tuesday, I think. So back at the beginning of the year, I did a reset kind of video where I brought down the Christmas tree and everything, and I told you guys my goals for the year. So I will be looking back over January, seeing how we are doing with those goals and what I have implemented, what I haven't, and how I'm feeling about the whole goal setting thing. And I've got some thoughts, so definitely if goals are something that you like to do, whether it's New Year's resolutions, goals throughout the year, whatever, tune into that, because I've had some revelations in the last month about goals, and I'd love to share them with you. One of them being one of my goals was reading, and obviously you saw in the intro there a book that I am reading. I will talk a little bit more about that on Tuesday as well, but if you want to jump in and grab that book, I'll link it in the show notes for you. In the show notes, I think I'm doing my podcast. I'll link it in the description below. If you don't know, I also run a podcast. It's for wedding professionals, nothing to do with crafting or home fragrance or anything like that. So probably not of interest to many of you guys, but yeah. So I say show notes in that. I'm getting my mediums confused. Excuse the hair. I'm trying a different method on it, and it's still damp and a bit squiffy, so you'll have to excuse that, but let's get on to the temperature blanket. So first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for watching my last video. If you watched my last video, it was about what I earn in Scentsy. Had a couple of questions in the comments which I answered. Do feel free to go back over there and ask any other questions. If you want me to go into anything else, like what I'm actually spending when I'm doing my Scentsy, what it actually looks like a day in the life of a Scentsy consultant, what I'm actually doing to create that money, or how that money translates into products and how much. If you've got any questions around that or want me to do another video on that, then let me know. I'm happy to do that for you. But today it's all about the crochet and the temperature blanket. So if you have been following along since the beginning of the year, I've been doing a beginner's crochet course lessons, and I'll link the playlist up there, so if you haven't seen it you can go back and watch it, join in, learn crochet if you want. But I bought in the temperature blanket today, one because I'm 4 weeks in, and if you're seeing my shorts about it, you might be thinking, well, what is it? Haven't heard of it before, and you might want a bit more information, so that's why I'm doing it. But also because we have now learnt to do a chain and we have learnt single crochet, you could start doing a temperature blanket of your own if you wanted to start doing this, or if you just want to practice doing some squares to start with, you can. So let me show you my temperature blanket. This is it so far. So this is how long it is so far. It is wider than it is long at the moment. So I have decided, now I watched a lady doing it last year, a girl doing it last year. So this is what it's looking like at the moment, and I will go over it in a second for you. It's 120 stitches wide, which is wide enough. If you imagine me sitting on the sofa, my knees aren't as wide as my shoulders. It's just going to sit over my lap and just sort of cozy on there. So yeah, I was watching a girl do it last year, and she did one that covered her bed, and what she said was that it was taking her 45 minutes to do a row, and I'm like, I won't do it if it's 45 minutes. Like, I can get this done in maybe 10 minutes, if that, and it's like, that's quick and it's doable. If it's going to take me 45 minutes, that's a long time out of every single day when you add it up. And she was getting a little bit behind here and there. She wasn't doing it on the daily, which I do. I try to just do the rows on the days that they are due. and she ended up with about a month's worth of rows left to do at the end of December that she hadn't got to do yet, and I don't want that, so I want to try and make it as simple and easy as I can to do it. So you might want to do a smaller blanket like this, or you might want to do a scarf, so you could do it a little bit, you could do 60 stitches, and that would be good for a nice cozy scarf. But yeah, it's up to you. So the idea of a temperature blanket is that you use the daily temperature to decide the colour that you're going to do on that day, and you crochet a row for every day of the year. Now, you can manipulate this. There are no rules. You know, the way one person does it isn't the way another person does it. So some people only do single crochet, some people do a variety of stitches, and those are the things that they change based on the temperature. Some people do colours and stitches. There is so much flexibility, and you just do it your way. For me, how I'm doing it is I'm planning to do it over the year, but you might want to do a monthly one. You might want to just do February's temperature. And I did have this idea the other day that it'd be really quite cool to do like a granny square a month and do 12 huge granny squares where each day is a new ring on the granny square. I thought that would be quite cool. So I might do that next year, who knows? But you can literally do it any way you want. So I decided to choose my colours, and I'll insert some video here of the colours that I chose because I put that in a different video where I was cleaning up the craft room. So I'll link that video above if you want to go and hear more about the colours, but I will link them in the description below as well. So these were all the colours that I chose, and so I've got 7 colours, and the way I've broken it down is I've got myself a little notebook that I was given. And in the front of the notebook, I have got, if it's 5 or below, that's the colour I'm using. If it's 6 to 9, that's what I'm using. 10 to 12, 13 to 15, 16 to 19, 20 to 21, and anything over 21. So that is how I'm breaking down my colours. And then on the other side, I have started with writing down the date and the temperature. Date and the temperature. And where do you get the temperature from? Because the temperature changes all day long. Again, to me, this is something that's completely up to you. We don't tend to, especially in the winter, we don't tend to jump a whole lot over the course of the day. So what I'm doing is I'm doing whatever the temperature is between around 12 and 3. I try and make sure I look at my phone and get the temperature between 12 and 3 every day. I can go back in my app and look, so if I don't, if I forget, I did forget one day, I can go back in my app and I can drag it to the time and see what the temperature was at that time, so it's not too big a deal if I miss it. Other people do the highest temperature of the day, other people do the lowest temperature of the day, and other people do the average temperature of the day. So it's completely up to you, but whatever way you start doing it, I would suggest continuing to do it that way, because then you're going to get a fairer view of your style of temperature. So that is what I'm doing, and I am on day 29 today. It's the 29th of January as I'm recording this, and it is 6 degrees in Wellingborough. Now I am going with my hometown temperature, so and I'm going to stick with that. Some people, wherever they go, they take the average temperature of the place that they're in. But I feel like if I was to go abroad this year, then the temperature is going to be vastly different, and that's just going to look odd. I'd rather it be the temperature of where I'm living. So that is what I'm doing. And as you can see, this is what I have come up with. Now, this is using just single crochet, but if you look up close, you will see that it's not what you would see as single crochet, and that's because this is rib. This is how we do rib. So if you imagine it this way, and probably all one colour, across the bottom of a jumper, that is like a rib or a cuff. It is rib. And that's how we do it on crochet. And how we do that is that we just go into the back loop. So remember when I've been doing the lessons, we've got these V's. Well, the one that is closest to you is the front loop, and the one that's at the back is the back loop. So if you just do your single crochets into there, each row always going into the back loop, you get this kind of rib effect. Now, the downside to the rib effect is I stretch this, you can see I've got my baby blue in there, and I think there's another place where I've got something like that. I think it's here. So I've got the powder blue, I've got the silver, and then in between I've got the baby blue. So because it's ribbed, one of the rows is always sunk in here, and if it is just one day where the temperature changed, so I can show you on the back, look, on the back you can see it, but on the front it just looks like that was a whole grey patch because you can't see this colour in here. Well, you can because I've stretched it so much now, but there you can't really see that there is a light blue in there. So that is the only downside to doing it, but I just didn't want it to just be plain single crochet, and I really love this rib effect, so I just thought that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, on days where it's single, it does create a little bit of an issue with the fact that you can't really see that colour. Again, on the end here we had a silver day in there, we went from baby blue to silver. But yeah, I'm loving how it's turning out. Now you might see these little bits here. This is where I've weaved in my ends. So rather than, because I'm changing colour all the time, I'm weaving in the ends as I go, but it is leaving these, but I will go back and just poke them in and cut them off and whatnot when I've finished. So that will be a last trim effort, but that is how it's looking so far. I'm really, really chuffed with it. I'm really excited to see how it goes, how it turns out. Like you've seen in the colours that I showed you at the beginning, I've got some nice dark colours in there that are going to come in the summer. Now, colour wise, it completely depends on you and what you want to do. For me, I am a blues girl. I really enjoy my blue. And that's kind of the vibe in the house as well. We've got dark navy in the living room. We've got this blue in the craft room. We've got very purple wall in my bedroom, which you may or may not have seen in some of my videos. That wasn't my choice. It was here when I got here, but I love purple, so we haven't changed it yet. So blues are more my colour palette, and I just wanted it something that would fit in with the aesthetic of my room. So I'm not a big fan of highly contrasting colours, so I thought I will just choose blues to represent the different temperatures, different shades of blue going into purple and magenta. So that's what I chose. You might be completely different. You might be very eclectic in your house. I love the idea of that really sort of country cottage eclectic cushions, clashing colours and all of that, but it's too busy for me. But you might enjoy that. So you might want to do blues for the colder temperatures, greens for as it's starting to warm up, yellows as it's starting to get to the end of spring, beginning of summer, and then oranges and reds for summer. So those higher temperatures, you might want to do that. You can literally do what you want with it. It is just so flexible. So I am doing it my way, other people are doing it their way. It is something that you can just have fun with, play around with. So today is actually it's actually a regular blue day. It's the same temperature as it was yesterday, so I haven't got to change my colour, but what I thought I would do is just show you a couple of ways that you can make sure that you're keeping your sides even if you want to start doing this. Now, it is one of those things that comes with time. You might find that if you do a few rows backwards and forwards, that you get to the end and you've like lost 10 stitches somewhere along the way. A little bit different than in knitting, where if you drop a stitch, you're going to unravel in one place. It's not so noticeable in crochet, which is why you need to be a bit more careful. So a tip for you is, if you are new to crochet and you don't know, you know, it's not something you can automatically do and you're worried about losing stitches, is to, when you've done your first stitch, is to put a stitch marker in that stitch, crochet along to the end, and then put another crochet, another stitch marker, get my words out, into that stitch, so that you've got a stitch marker on each end that tells you which one is the last stitch that you need to do. So when I am doing this one is just to hold it so that I didn't have to keep my hook in it and I'll lose my stitch somewhere. I am using a 4mm. So that's the one that we've been using in the Crochet for Beginners lessons. So it should be something you're familiar with. So once you have ended your row, I'll just undo this. So I'm going into my last stitch here. Now on my last stitches and my first stitch, I've actually just been doing a full single crochet going through both loops. I think that's just because I wanted to give it a bit of a sturdier edge, because obviously if you're only going through one side, it's not as strong as going through both loops. So I've been doing a single crochet. So you do your single crochet and then you chain one so that you are raising to the height of your row. Then, as I taught you last week, you don't go through that first V because that's the chain. You go into the first stitch, next V, do your single crochet, and that is where I would then put the stitch marker. So through that V. I really want to get some better stitch markers because I feel like they don't open very easily. So that then goes through that first V, front and back, do it up, and then you can continue to crochet along to the other end. And obviously you would do this from the beginning, so you would already at this point have your stitch marker on this end through this one, so that you knew that that was your last one and you're not going to go down into the side, or you're not going to miss it and lose a stitch because you've gone to the penultimate stitch and not done the last one. So that is how I would do it. So, you know, it's an extra step, but it makes sure that you keep your edges. The alternative is to count each stitch as you crochet it to make sure you've got the same stitches, and I would recommend counting every so often just to make sure that you are still on track whatever you do. But I would say that I don't want to be counting to 120 every time I do a row, because I'm listening to music or I'm watching the telly or whatever, so I don't want to do that. I'm pretty good at making sure that I've got all mine. I've got quite a straight line there, so I'm not too worried about it myself. But if you are new to crochet and you're worried about it, just put a stitch marker in and make sure that you are putting a stitch marker at each end when you're doing your rows. So you could start with single crochet, just do normal single crochet. You could do, like I say, you could do a scarf. So you could do it at, I would say 60 stitches would be a nice chunky scarf that you would come up with. You could go less, you could maybe go 40 stitches, and I think that would still be suitable, given it's going to be 365 if you're doing a whole year. And you can start whenever you want as well, so you don't have to do a year. You could do something different depending on what it is that you want to make. So if you were going to do pillowcases, for example, you might not need 365 rows to create a pillowcase. So you might do well, see how long it takes you to get to the size of a pillowcase, and then you could do maybe 2 pillowcases for the year. So you could have a like a winter to summer and a summer to winter pillowcase, and see how different the 2 sides of the year are. You could decide that you just want to do the summer months. You want to do a summer temperature, whatever. You might want to start in March. Maybe you want your warmer colours to be on the ends, so you want to start in the summer and you want to do sort of middle of, maybe start in July and do July to June, so then you would have all your winter cool colours in the centre and your hotter colours on the outside. It's completely up to you. It's so flexible. Literally write down your own rules, and as long as you stick to your own rules, then you're going to have an even look. I mean, if you changed it every week and went, oh no, actually I don't want to do this, I want to do that, then, you know, you can absolutely do that, but it's not necessarily going to be a good representation. And that's what these are. These are representations of the time that they cover. So for me, I love the fact that I am sort of seeing how cold we are, and then I'm going to see how warm we get and how cool we get at the other end. I like that is what this is doing, and this is going to be representative of 2023. And not only that, I'm also, because I'm doing all my goals and stuff, I'm sort of very aware of what's happening in my life at the moment. You know, sometimes we get to the end of the year and we're like, what on earth was that? Where did it go? What on earth did I do with that time? But this blanket is going to be a little bit like a memory blanket, because I'm going to go, oh, the cold months, I remember what I was doing in those cold months, and in the summer, oh, we went here. I'm going to know this is my 2023 blanket, and I'm going to know the sort of big key moments in my life that happened this year and where they fit on the blanket. And I think that's going to be a really cool memory thing as well. So this is my temperature blanket so far. I am doing updates on shorts where you can see the length grow. I might come back in mid-year and do a longer update video on it, but I wasn't planning on doing long videos on it because, well, there's not really much to see. So that is it for today, guys. We are back to learning to crochet next Sunday. I've got a couple more lessons that I want to teach you so that you've got the basics. Like I say, I'm not a professional. I'm just teaching you what I know and how I know how to do it. But it will give you a good basis to be able to do things. You know, I crocheted a pair of shorts last year. I'd never done that in my life. Thanks, Bruna, for the pattern. And she's done some fantastic patterns recently that I'm like, oh, I want to try that. I want to try that. I've also just downloaded a phone case, so a phone holder sort of bag type crochet project that I'm going to do with you guys probably after the lessons. I might do that video which I bought off of Etsy, which I will share with you guys, because I like to carry my phone around, and not enough of my clothes have pockets, guys, I have to say. I want to move away from wearing hoodies all the time. I just feel like I live in hoodies and jogging bottoms, and I kind of want to move away from that. But a lot of my stuff doesn't have, I mean, not to say that, yeah, my hoodies have pockets, which is why I wear them a lot, because I want to be able to carry my phone around. So I bought this pattern to make, and I have done a phone, I will show you. That'll be tragic. I will show you the phone holder that I made once, and then I'm going to make one using a pattern which looks stunning, and we will see the difference between me just going, oh, I'm just going to crochet something out of nothing, which is still useful, still good, something that once you've got these basic skills you can do it too, and it's better than nothing, right? And using an actual pattern that somebody has created to make something. So yeah, stay tuned for that. If you you know, when you swallow and air and liquid goes down at the same time. Yeah, okay, so if you want to see how that turns out and see that reveal, then make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. I do all my crafting videos on a Sunday, so that's when you want to come back from those. Home Fragrance comes out on Thursday. I was late this week, just personal mindset, busyness got in the way. But that went up on Friday. So usually Thursday for Home Fragrance, and then Tuesday is like vlogs, decluttering, and anything else that I want to share with you guys. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Please hit the like button on the way out. It really helps the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Pop a red heart in the comments if you are new to the channel. I'd love to say a personal hello to you and a thank you for getting this far in the video. If you are a returning subscriber, I appreciate you guys so much. It is so lovely to see your comments in the chat box down below. And when I put up a post this week, one of my lovely subscribers sent a lovely little message which really lifted me. So thank you so much for being so fantastic. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.